Primarily, we're a technology company. We're like an R&D and technology company. So ever since the inception of runtime verification in 2010, we've been pushing the envelope of formal semantics, language semantics-based approaches to tool building and formal verification. Yeah, it is often misunderstood, but less and less. Now, there's been a big education drive by our company, by a lot of other companies as well, just going out and speaking, talking on panels, helping people to understand the value in that. We've had some kind of cool recent results in combining zero-knowledge proofs with traditional formal verification proof objects. One thing that Muli, who's at Certora, says frequently is that, blockchain and formal verification, blockchain and formal methods, is a match made in heaven. Hey, I'm Everett Hildenbrandt. I'm the CTO at Runtime Verification, and interested in formal verification and making that easier and accessible to everyone. Originally, I was studying physics actually, and then I got into computer science because I took a course on program verification, which was based on mathematical logic, based on equational logic and rewriting logic, and kind of fell in love. So I just immediately switched to a formal methods study and did that for a few years, and then I joined Runtime Verification as an intern, and I just decided I liked that very much, so I kept with it. Primarily, we're a technology company. We're like an R&D and technology company. So ever since the inception of Runtime Verification in 2010, we've been pushing the envelope of formal semantics, language semantics-based approaches to tool building and formal verification. Recently, and what we've gotten really big for is the security and auditing aspect. So taking those techniques, formal verification, and applying them to the world of security and auditing, which for a non-developer, security and auditing is kind of one of the final quality assurance stages that a lot of the cryptocurrency smart contracts go through before they're deployed. So it's a pre-deployment strategy to try to find bugs before contracts go into mainnet. Yeah, it is often misunderstood, but less and less. So it used to be that we'd have to sit down and explain to people for an hour what the process is, and only a few weeks into the audit, when we start finding bugs in the design, we realize, this is why we do specification. This is why we make the formal model. This is why you ask us why, and really drill down into the details, is because these little details do make a big difference in the correct operation of the protocol. Now, there's been a big education drive by our company, by a lot of other companies as well, just going out and speaking, talking on panels, helping people to understand the value in that. And now a lot of companies are even taking that in-house themselves. They're hiring verification experts. They're hiring people who can do the security auditing themselves and trying to learn how to use the tools themselves. And that's actually bringing a new kind of exciting development, because that means we're free to focus on the tooling aspect instead, right? Like we don't have to sit here audit. Instead, we can say, let's work with your in-house security expert and give them the tools they need to do the auditing process themselves. So, we don't think that we'll stop doing the audit thing, because there's a lot of demand for that still. But we definitely are allocating more resources to tool building. We have our open source tools, which we just are trying to get people to use. We're trying to work with people to learn how we can educate people about them better, provide better documentation. Another effort is we're trying to offer in-cloud-based tools. So we have this K as a service, or CAS, that we're launching. So you can go to our website /CAS to sign up for the waitlist there. That's probably going to be a pretty big focus in the short-term future, so the next 6 to 12 months. Longer term, we're looking, like you said, we're a technology company, right? We have our research department, which is basically looking at what's the next generation of assurance look like, because we're really here about assurance. And we've had some kind of cool recent results in combining zero-knowledge proofs with traditional formal verification proof objects, which look very exciting in terms of being able to pass around succinct evidence that something is correct without having to even agree on the virtual machine that's used to produce those state updates, right? So we think that that's kind of exciting. That's longer term, and we don't know what that will look like for monetization or anything, but it's exciting research we're doing. So I think we're going to definitely expand into the zero knowledge world quite a bit once that research comes into practical light. So, because you have right now, if you take many of the zero knowledge approach is okay, take my VM, make a zero knowledge circuit for my VM. That's part of your trust base, right? Like you don't know that your circuit is implementing the VM you think it is, right? Now, like ZK EVM, for example, has high confidence because they test it against the same conformance test suite that other EVM implementations do. But with this research Grigori's been doing, we found a way, okay, a much smaller VM called matching logic. It doesn't matter that it's a logic, it's some Turing complete thing that you can do computation with, right? It's so small that you can fit it in 240 lines of code. And we've already made a snarked version of this. Now that's a tiny, easily checkable piece of code. Your trust base is now this thing that's just a few hundred lines of code, and the VM sits outside that and is a parameter, right? Like we can put a different VM in. So matching logic is the core. K becomes a front end that allows you to plug different VMs in, right? So this is, I mean, like I said, we're not quite sure what we're going to do with it, but it feels very powerful because you don't have to have this massive trust base in order to get this zero knowledge blockchain thing going. Oh yeah, there's lots of competitors. I mean, there's lots of good companies in the space. I think that this one thing that Muli, who's at Certora, says frequently is that, you know, blockchain and formal verification, blockchain and formal methods is a match made in heaven, right? Because there's super high demand for it, just organic demand. People are wanting it just because they want to keep their money safe. And it's like very small but interesting problems. Small in terms of code size, right? Like less than 10,000 lines of code, certainly less than 100,000 lines of code, as opposed to like aviation, which is, you know, talking about millions of lines of code there, right? Like the scale is just a completely different beast. So yeah, there's lots of competitors, but friendly with all of them because like it's an amazing market. Honestly, it's, you know, people really want this. So I think all solutions are welcome.